Today I want to share with you how to make this great little traveler's notebook or album that is great to include in your bags, in your purses, as you're going about the day. I love that it is attached here with this elastic ring around it. And then we've got sections inside, two different signature sections. If you saw my last video where I described what a signature is, just a section from a book. And we've also got places to put these little notebooks that we can put on the inside, and also some more journaling cards, things like that. Here are the notebooks, and I've got that on both sides because we have little slots in here. And then we also, within each of the signatures, the middle section is a little folder that we can place more journaling cards. And one thing that I think is unique about this book, or one of the other things that is unique, is we can add more signatures if we want to, but I used single-sided paper. Normally I like to use double-sided because I love seeing both different designs on both sides, but I thought it would be great to leave the white because this works great for journaling. We could journal here, add pictures, that sort of thing. We've got all these the little slot here, and I'm going to show you how I make these, and it just takes a few supplies that you can grab up probably locally. Let's get started. The main structure of our traveling notebook album is going to come from these photo albums that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree, $1.25, and they're the ones here that are the little plastic sleeves. They're usually already have something inside of them, and they have the slots available for pictures. Now, for the purposes of our book today, we don't need these pictures, and I'm going to show you how we're going to slide those out and just use this plastic structure. There's other ways that you can make the plastic structure, but to me, this is one of the easiest, and we're still going to keep these inserts for other things. The albums fit 4x6 photos, and the particular one that I have has 48 different pockets here on the inside, so it is a little thick, and that's going to work great because you can almost imagine our two signatures that we're going to end up adding into our album. The first step that we're going to need to do with this album is we want to remove these photo sleeves. To get these sleeves off, I'm going to start by clipping back the front two covers, kind of getting them out of the way. And if you open your book to the middle, we'll see how far we can do this. We're going to start by just very carefully tearing these out from the center, and we still have our sheets here. We're going to set those to the side and possibly use those on something else. So just take two more of the sheets and just gently pull, and let's continue to do that throughout as far as we can. We want to maintain our spine of our book, though. We don't want to rip it in half or anything. Now we're starting to get these apart, and that's fine. So just continue doing that. And as we get more and more, it's almost easier to take single sides. Now they're a little bit closer. Okay, now let me show you what we've got left in the middle. When I take my clip off, this is what it looks like. And we still can see this from here. And I'm going to keep all these and put these to be used maybe in another project. And the only thing I want to do now is take my little sharp scissors. And if I have any pieces here that a little extra, I think I'm actually going to clip this back together. Get that out of the way because I want this piece, I want to trim off, and I don't want to trim, and I can start a little bit and then just pull that off. That's good. We're going to be covering this section up, but I do want it to lay flat. So if there are any pieces that are sticking up, as you can see right here, I'm just going to try to trim those off. get a smooth, flat center area spine, but still maintain the structure of our little album. I don't want to get too close. Let me open this up, get all my little pieces out of the way. And that looks really good. My photo album came with these pieces, and they're cute, but there's a different look that I want to go to, and I'm using my All Good Vibes paper that I just recently got from Michael's. This might be worth keeping though. It's a very thin sheet, and you know I can't throw things away. So I'm probably going to be keeping it, and I'll put it in my stack with these little photo sleeves. Now we really just have a plastic cover with the little pockets on the side, and this is going to work great for our album. I think that I'm going to use this paper for my front cover. This was one of the first reasons that I chose this paper pad when I picked it out. And for our front cover, we are going to need a piece of paper that is 10 1/4 across and 6 1/8 inch tall. So let's go ahead and let's cut here at the 6 1/8. And I'm going to cut down to the 10 1/4. From this side, we will go out 10 1/4. And because this is single-sided paper, I'm going to choose to do, this is going to be the outside cover of the book, but from the inside, I want another print that I'm going to place on top. So I'm going to choose another piece of paper to go on the inside. I go with this very light color. So again, we'll go ahead and I'll do the 10 1/4 cut first here this time. 10 1/4 down to 6 1/8. And what I would only have to do this once if I had the double-sided paper that I was using, but I'm choosing to go with this single-sided. Now I'm just going to line these up white side to white side, and because we just have this slide in here, so let's slide our paper in almost halfway. I don't want to make a hard fold, but I'm going to kind of roll back a little bit on my paper, roll forward. I want to fit back in here to now roll this piece in, and we kind of have a hoop here in the middle. And we're just going to take each piece and gently slide in a little bit on either side. And it may help if we actually fold back, and then it hits a point where it will roll in very nicely. This is going to be my front cover, and this is the inside cover. So all in all, we need 12 pages that we're going to use. And so let's see what we've got. We know we're not going to use what was the cover right now, if I can help it. This is a pretty page, but I don't know that I'm necessarily going to use it. I'm going to hold off. I know I use this, so I'm going to pick my pages out now and get my 12 pages that I will use for these, and I will come back here and I will give you the dimensions. I've picked out my 12 sheets of paper, and these are all the ones that are going to go on the inside of our signatures. Now there's a couple of considerations because I'm going to make 2 folders. And when I make a folder, it's actually paper that is going to be folded up like this to make our folder. So the direction on the print is going to be important. And so some of these, like for example, the mushroom print, when I fold this up, the mushroom are upside down on this side, they're the right side on the other side. So this does not need to be an option as a folder. And I think these flowers would be okay because they're really not directional, so that doesn't matter. This is a direction. This is a direction. These are okay. This is going to be a direction. So I'm going to have plenty of options to use. I'm going to put that over here for the two folders. So we can go ahead and pull those out. And let's see, just looking, it's really not going to matter. But I'm thinking I'm going to go with, this is going to be one of my folders. And I'm going to use this green here. We'll take, this as a folder. So the remainder of the sheets are going to be pages. And so I'm going to give you the dimensions on how we need to trim each of these. So I've got a 12 by 12 sheet of paper here, and this one is going to be just a regular sheet. And first of all, we're going to need to trim it down to 6 1/8. That is how tall it's going to be, by 9 1/2. So I'm going to stop my trimmer at 9 1/2. So I will have a little bit of extra paper that I have not cut into, in case for some reason if I needed a longer strip of something. And then I'm going to trim down here at the 9 1/2. Go to 6 1/8. And then this will give me one page. I'm going to trim each of mine down to this, the 9 1/2 by 6 1/8, and then we'll do some scoring. So I have my 10 pages that I'm going to be used for the insides of the signatures. Now let's do the folders. And so for the folder, we're still going to need a page that is 9 1/2. And so I'm going to trim that at 9 1/2. And we're going to need it to be 9 1/8 in length down. We are adding a fold. We're going to go down to 9 1/8. So I'm going to flip this around, and at 9 1/8, I will trim this. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how we'll do the folder. So this will be the back side of my page. I need to first do I want to make sure I'm using my scoring blade. We're going to do a score at 4 3/4 on the 9 1/2. So we're basically doing this in half, a score line. And then I'm going to flip to where I want my bottom to be, and I'm going to do a 3-inch score line. And when we get ready to fold this, we'll fold our page in half, and then open this up, and then here is where we will do our folder. I'm going to go ahead and get my other one ready, and I'll come back and show you how we're going to trim this up. We just scored the two folders. Now I have the 10 pages that need to be scored at 4 3/4. So I'm just going to do that score line. If you don't have a score, we're really just folding this page in half. And so I'm going to go forward and do that with each of the 10 pages, score and fold. Have each page scored now, and let me show you how we're going to trim up for the folder. So we've already scored this in half and then up 3 inches. If we used this as a folder right here, it just makes it kind of bulky to fold. So we need to do something about this center right here. What I like to do is I like to take this, open it back up, and then we'll do the fold here. Now on the side that's connected, not the open side, I'm going to start up here at the intersection of our two score lines, and we're going to just cut down and at an angle, it makes a triangle out of that paper that comes out. When we open this up, we see the triangle, and here is for our folder. We're gonna put tape or glue on these edges, but this folds so much nicer now because that space is gone, and then we'll have our slot that we can put anything down inside. I think I'm gonna use a little bit of my Tombow glue along the edge here. And then I may place my little weights. Actually, they're my Stampin' Blocks today on the edge there, and give those a little bit of time to dry. And I'm gonna do that for each one of these, the 2 folders that we have in our book. Oops, in our book. Giving our papers time to dry, and now I'm gonna go in and I just want to corner around each of the pages. You don't have to do that. I just like the look of that in this particular little folio traveler's journal. So I'm gonna go through and let's do these edges. And I've got it turned on the white side. I need to be looking at these pretty papers. Let's get a good look at these papers. Look at those mushrooms. Aren't they gorgeous? I love this set. So continue corner rounding if that's what you want to do. Now I've taken these 2 sheets of paper that have the gold foil, and it's from the same paper pad, and I have cut them at 8 by 5 1/4 and scored them at 4 in the middle so I can fold. We're going to make little notebooks out of these. So I've got 1 for each side of my album that will be in. And now I've also just taken plain white copy paper, and I've cut these down to 8 by 5 1/4 as well. And we're just gonna fold these in half. I have also rounded the corners, and we're gonna add these into our little notebooks. Now you could add other decorative paper if you wanted to. You could put in colored paper, whatever you may like. Now I'm gonna use my long reach stapler, and we're gonna staple these in. So I've got my long reach stapler, and here is the first little notebook with all the pages here. And I like to stuff everything in with the ruler, and we will attach the pages here on either side with the little clips. Then we will go in with the long reach stapler, and I'm going to make 2 staples along the spine. Line them up, staple there, and staple there. And we have our little books stapled and our little notebooks ready to insert. Let me finish up the second one. For this next step, we're going to need an elastic cord, and I like to use just this white elastic cord that I can pick up at Walmart, at Hobby Lobby, Amazon. And then I also like to use my Crocodile because it has the larger hole punch on one side and the smaller on the other. We're going to be using the smaller, and we're going to need to make 3 different punches. So let me show you. This is the original book that I had made. We're going to need a hole punch in the middle here, and that's going to help us do the work, the around around the booklet. And then we also need 2 punches on the top and 2 on the bottom, which is going to be for our elastic that our 2 signatures are going to go in. Now, if you were to add more signatures, of course, you would need more of the slots for your elastic pages. But I like the thickness of the 2. So first, we're going to just line up, and we're going to do our 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom first. So I'm going to take on the smaller side of my hole punch, and right about on either side of the center, about maybe a quarter of our way in, I'm going to punch. I'm still inside the spine area, but I also want to give a little bit of space between these holes so that they don't break through. But this plastic on the outside is also going to help keep those separated. Now, I mentioned the hole in the middle. Well, ideally, I need to be able to do that. My hole punch is not going to fit though. So let me show you what I do instead. So I have this tool here that is a pick. It helps me pick out pieces from my die cutting machine. It has a piece of foam that came with it, and then a sharp pointer edge. And so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to try it here on the paper side first, right about in the middle, and I'm just eyeballing it though. I am going to punch a hole through my paper and the plastic all the way through. And I've just got a hole there. And so now I have the hole that I'm going to use in just a moment. Now we're going to take our cord, and let's do the signature section first. So all we're going to do here is we're really just making a loop that we're going to tie off on the inside portion of our book. I came up from one end. I'm going to go down on the other side, and then we will go back through from the back, or actually the front of the cover. Give myself a little bit more. And I'm going to come through here. And this is about the length that we're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off, because I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment, and I'll show you why here. Okay, let me make sure I've got this on the right direction. I'm going to pull this one back out because I want it to end up so that I'm going to tie off on the inside of the cover. Let me just straighten this up, and let's even it out just a little bit more. It doesn't matter because we can always trim it up, but it's about the same size. Now I want to tie this about in the middle, and I'm just going to start with a double knot. I want these to be in here securely, but give me enough give with the elastic that my signatures can come in here. I think a double knot's going to be fine. And I'm just going to now trim these off. I don't want a lot left, but I don't want to go all the way to the end. That's what we're going to use to tie or put the signatures in. Now, let's also, my book's a little bit, I haven't really bent it a lot. We're going to bend it some, but also when we put this elastic on it, that's going to help. Okay, so now we're going to take our piece of elastic here. Take a little bit of string here, and it's going to wrap. And you want it to be able to close the book pretty well. I think that's going to be a good amount. I'm going to, and if you want a measurement, it's about 15.5 inches. I'm going to get all my other out of the way here. Now I'm going to take this and fold it in half. And let's see if we can fit it through. I may have to use my poker tool or even my scissors to kind of make this hole just a little bit bigger. I don't let's widen this side. Make sure we're coming out in the hole. I think it's the plastic there that needed to be widened. I've just been working on getting that hole just a little bit bigger, poking some of my tools that will poke in there. Go in. I'm going to go in from the back side with one piece, and then let's try to poke in the other piece right behind it. It's going to be a tight squeeze at first. I'm going to use my scissors to kind of help work its way in there, side by side. I can see it come through. I'm going to grab it. There we go. Let's even these up. And we basically want a knot that's not going to go through this hole. Now I'm going to pull it up just a little bit. And I'm going to tie a knot where I take the two pieces together. And I want to tie it pretty close to the end. But see how that makes a bigger knot? And let's just try it out. It doesn't go through our hole. Now let's turn our, and let's check this out. Now it's a little loose right now, but imagine we're going to have our materials in here. If I want to make it a little bit tighter, let's just loosen our knot a little bit. Got it loosened up, and I'm just going to pull it down. Let's do our knot down a little bit more so we can have a little bit more space. And I'm going to test it out before I totally tighten it up. That's going to give us a good stretch. I think I'm going to go in a little bit in between. Pull it down just a little bit, just a hair. I think that's going to work. And that's what I'm going for right there. So now I've got this tightened up, and I'm going to trim off these ends. And now it's time to put everything inside our book. First of all, we know that we have our little notebooks, and they will fit in right here in our side pockets, and we can use those as we need. Let me make sure, yes, I've got the right direction. Now, in terms of how I want to line up my paper, I've got two different folders, and let's just kind of want to do a variety for our papers in terms of the colors. Like I would want a pink. Let's put the green over here. There's another green, kind of a mix. Let's see, pink, pinker. Go with that. I love that one right there. That's very neat. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to use right here. So the great thing here, we don't have to punch any holes. We have our first signature and then our second signature. Oops, I have one. Oh, I have not corner rounded the little folders. I knew something was poking out there. Let's do that real quick. And I'll show you how, when I want to do the edge down here. It's a little bit harder of a punch, but it still works. There's our folder. And we'll finish up this one. I'm thinking I might need to get the corner chomper. I've had this Stampin' Up! Corner rounder for quite a few years, but some of my projects need a little bit extra. Okay. Here's our 2 signatures. All we have to do is slide this in right here. And that gives us our first signature. They're a little resistant, I can feel. They need to be folded down and held down, and that's what our elastic cover is going to do. Get that in place. There we have that, and we have our book here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here. I've got just a few more things I want to add to spruce this up. I made a charm using this bulb pen and some of my charms that I have and ribbons that will go with these colors. And I have to tell you, I was able to make this charm so easy with this bead looper that I have a video on, and I'll put the link to that below because it makes the world of difference in being able to put the pins on these beads. So the reason I like to use this bulb pen with this is because right here at the top of our book, we have a piece of elastic going through, and it makes it so easy to just take our charm, and it's pulled really tight right now. I want to make sure that I get underneath the elastic, and it might be that I need to take the books out. Let's do that. I said books and I meant the signatures. So there, that gives me the little bit of give that I wanted so that I can hook this bulb pen into place. I have all the ribbon and everything attached to that. And then we can let that hang down and let all the ribbons and the little charm dangles come around. And then quickly just add our signatures back in to the book here. And they are in their spot. We can close this up, attach our elastic around, and there we have the charm dangle. The last little thing that I wanted to go ahead and add in are some little 3.5 by 5 little note cards made out of some more of those scraps of paper. And I'm just going to put those in here in the little inside folder for now. Inside here in the plastic, that's a great little tuck spot to put more little cards. I love this mushroom paper. And now we have our entire little traveler's journal book that we can use, keep in my purse. I can write notes here. I can attach pictures, or if I have little keepsake items, I've got plenty of little places with 2 of the little notebooks on the inside, along with little slots to keep things there. And because it has the plastic cover and everything, is a nice fit to go inside of a bag or something. I have my little charms here that I can take off if I need to, but it's a perfect little fit. This is the original one that I made several years ago, and they look very similar. But the thing to do is make sure to get some of these. I still have another little photo album, so I'm sure I'm going to be making another one of these soon. I hope that you've enjoyed and get to making your cute little traveler's journals.